We all know that the Great Lent is going to begin tomorrow. The first day of Lent we call Clean Monday, or in Greek, Stavros. And we mark this day not as a day of outward sadness, but as a day of inward reflection. That's why we don't have the service like our sister churches have, where we put ashes on ourselves and walk around in outward sadness. In fact, in the gospel lesson, Jesus tells us that what we're doing in Lent, whether we're fasting or we're praying or whatever it is we're doing, we're supposed to keep that private to ourselves. We're not supposed to go and talk about it with everybody. And the service that we're going to do tomorrow on Clean Monday is actually the service of Holy Unction, so that we're marked in a way with oil, so that no one can see that. But we're marked for our forgiveness and our cleansing of mind and body and spirit by our Lord as we begin the season of the Great Lent. Lent is a time of personal and spiritual examination. It's interesting to think that we have only a finite number of Lenten journeys in our lives. If I live to be 100, which I probably won't, I'm just about halfway done with the journeys that I'm having for Lent. Some of us are just starting this experience, and for some of us, we may be in the last 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 times that we're going to make this journey. Every year as we make this journey, I'm thankful to God that I'm still alive to make it once again. And it's said that 30 days are needed in order to make something into a new habit. So if you're not in the habit of exercising, let's say, or you're not in the habit of praying, or you're not in the habit of doing your homework if you're in school, if you do something for 30 days, then it becomes a habit. So our church is very, very generous with us because it gives us 50 days to make new habits. It doesn't only expect us to get it right in 30, but it gives us 30 plus an additional 20 to make sure that those habits stay ingrained in us. Most people think of Lent as a time of deprivation. We think about fasting, first and foremost, that I'm going to go and enjoy the last of whatever I'm going to have the last of today, and then I'm going to abstain from that tomorrow. And actually the tradition of fasting is based on the first sin of Adam. How many people know that? The tradition of fasting is based on the first sin of Adam. Because Adam desired to eat something that he wasn't supposed to eat. He desired the fruit that was forbidden. And this is why there's a tradition of fasting, that we deprive ourselves of something. And Adam didn't have the discipline to stay away from that one thing, and that cost him paradise. So the church asks us to discipline ourselves to stay away from certain things and have that discipline so that we get spiritual benefit from that. Now, in my personal opinion, I know this is going on YouTube later, my personal opinion, we overdid it with the fasting from food. We've made the whole Lent about ingredients. About the ingredients that we're putting in instead of the ingredients that we're putting out. So we overdid that, in my opinion. I'm not going to tell you not to fast from food. Many of you have that discipline, and that's a good thing. So keep some fast from food. But the fast the things you should fast from are things that have nothing to do with food. You should fast from being unkind to people. You should fast from being unforgiving to people. We should fast, not you, I'm included in us. We should fast from being egotistical. We should fast from wasting time. We should fast from judging other people. We should fast from gossiping. And we should fast from overindulging in whatever it is we overindulge on, whether it's food or TV or whatever it is. Now imagine if you fasted from all those things, and you were able to do that for 50 days. You would come out of that 50 days as a transformed person. You would come out of that 50 days as a different person. You went 50 days without being unkind. You went 50 days forgiving everyone. With keeping your ego in check, with being efficient with your time, without judging others, without gossiping, and without overindulging. If you you could do those things for 50 days, you'd be an entirely new person. And you'd have some habits that would be solid, and they would be able to carry far beyond the 50 days. During this time of the Great Lent, make an effort to pray and to meditate on Scripture. For those who are not in the habit of praying, and there are many people who struggle with prayer. I struggle with prayer. Start off tomorrow by spending some time in prayer, and do that for 50 days, and you'll see that you'll come out of Lent as a prayerful person. If you're not used to reading the Scriptures, pick up some piece of the Bible, any piece. The easiest pieces are the Gospels. The hardest pieces are some of the Old Testament books. So if you're not used to reading the Bible, don't start off with Leviticus, because you won't finish it, I promise you. But start off with the Gospels, where you can read things like, blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are the meek, blessed are the pure in heart. I mean, things that Christ gives us. Read in the Old Testament. If you want to read something in the Old Testament, read the book of Psalms. There's 150 of them. You read 3 a day. You finish it during Lent. Read the book of Proverbs. There's about 34 chapters. You can read 1 chapter of Proverbs a day. Proverbs is a book that gives us practical life advice. And the first thing it says is the person who does not fear God is the foolish person. It's the very first thing it says in Proverbs. There are opportunities at our church to worship, and there are lots of them. This week, before we gather next Sunday, there'll be 5 services here this week. We will have the Forgiveness Vespers tonight at 6 o'clock. The service of the Forgiveness Vespers, it does 2 things. Number one, it makes the official announcement that Lent has started, and it's the reverse of the Anastasis service. We start off with the bright colors, and in the middle of the service we change and put on the dark vestments and turn the lights out, and it's the exact opposite of how we'll exit from Lent. And also it affords us an opportunity to go around person by person and ask forgiveness. I wish that we could gather all the parish council, or all the choir, or all the Sunday school, or all the community, and just go around person by person and say, forgive me. I mean, I know just about everybody here, and many of you know many people here. And as I said before, I can't go even a day without doing something wrong to somebody in this community or somebody in my family. And so that's why forgiveness is so important, because when we sin against each other, we put walls there. And if the walls don't come down, then what kind of relationship do we have? And God gave us a mechanism for how to get the walls down, and that is called forgiveness. So I encourage you to ask forgiveness from people today and tomorrow, the people especially that are close to you, because they're the people we sin against most. There's some song that says you only hurt the ones you love. Well, we hurt everybody, but we hurt the ones we love, it seems, the most. So go today and ask forgiveness from your spouse, from your parents, from your children, and tomorrow from your co-workers, from your friends. Who is going to laugh at you if you say, please forgive me? No one's going to laugh at you. No one's going to judge you. People will respect you. They may not say, I forgive you back, but they're not going to put you down for asking for forgiveness. That's one of those things that you can always ask that, and it's never going to be received poorly. Tomorrow, as I said, we'll have the service of Holy Unction at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Every Wednesday of Lent, we celebrate the pre-sanctified liturgy, which is that we save communion from today. If you look at the altar, there's a purple cloth there from the tabernacle that's covering a paten that has the communion that's been pre-sanctified for Wednesday. And every Wednesday we have that liturgy at 6 o'clock, followed by a potluck dinner that's hosted by the different ministries of our church. So every Wednesday you can come and you can enjoy a free meal. Instead of spending an hour shopping and cooking, you can spend the hour worshiping, and then you can enjoy a Lenten supper. Every Friday at 6:30 we'll have the salutations to the Virgin Mary. This coming Saturday, we'll have the last of the Saturdays of the Souls, 10 o'clock. And next Sunday is the Sunday of Orthodoxy. If you have new icons that you've purchased or received as gifts in the past year, please bring them to church next Sunday and put them in the windows of the church so that we can bless them and you can take them back to your homes. There are other opportunities in Lent, such as the Lenten prayer team that I wrote about in the Messenger last month. We have 70 people. I'm really happy for the first time. We have 70 people who join the Lenten prayer team. If you're not one of them and you would like to join, you just send me a one-line email today saying, please, Father, put me on the prayer team, and you will get emails starting tomorrow morning. They're set to go off sometime in the middle of the night so that you can receive some prayer and some encouragement every day. If, by the way, you're one of the 70 who signed up for the prayer team and you don't get one of those tomorrow, be in constant contact. Send me an email tomorrow and say you didn't get anything, because it means that in inputting into constant contact you made a typo. Again, we all make mistakes, including one on the computer. We have a retreat on March 21st. That'll be, you'll read about that in the March Messenger, which you'll receive this week. I'm teaching my Orthodoxy 101 class for a couple weeks. We have our Lenten Covenant program. Some people choose to mark Lent this way. There are papers for that up there. There are also a Lenten calendar for your family, things for confession, and some Lenten prayers. So I encourage you to take advantage of all of that. Any and all of that. You don't have to, it's like a big menu in a restaurant. You find the one thing that fits your lifestyle and do that. But let no one go away without taking something off the menu to help you during Lent. The last thing I want to mention is from the Gospel today. Christ tells us about putting treasure in heaven. And he says, where our treasure is, that's where our heart is. And in the men's Bible study class that we're having, we're watching this video called The Truth Project, and any men who would like to join us every Wednesday at 7:30 we're meeting. And this last week we watched a video about history. Like, what is history? And we're so concerned, so it says the video, and I agree with this, we're so concerned with our personal history, with our personal plan for ourselves, that many times we forget where we are in God's grand plan for things. And God has a grand plan for everything. And in his plan is that all of us are saved. Now, we have to work in concert with God's plan. God does not impose the plan on us. We can go against the plan. We can say, I don't want the plan. But the plan that God made for the human race is for the human race to find salvation. And God made everybody in the human race with some ability to contribute to that plan. Now, most of us don't think about where we fit in the grand plan. We don't think that God carved it out especially for me to be a high school teacher. Or God carved out especially for me to be an architect. We don't think about that very much. What we do think about is we think about our personal plan. We say, how much money can I make doing this thing that I'm doing so that I can buy a house, I can buy a car, I can retire at ease, I can travel the world, I can have financial security. And we think about our specific plan. And maybe in God's plan, he gave you a talent that's never going to make you a lot of money. I mean, there's some jobs that are really, really important where people just don't make a lot of money. So they're not going to get the financial security and they're not going to travel everywhere. And that's okay, because if you're fulfilling your part in God's grand plan, then God's going to look favorably on that. Right? This is a different way of thinking. We're always thinking about our personal plan for material gain and success. Right? So if God blessed you, if God blessed me with the ability to go and to make some material gain, it's God's grand plan that those who have that material gain are supposed to share with others. We're all supposed to do that, but people who have more are supposed to share more. That's not a tax code, that's not a law, that's not a government opinion. That's what God says. God says we're not supposed to wait either for the government to tell us how much we're supposed to give. There's something intrinsic inside of us that says we should be giving. That's God's grand plan. So this Lent, think about where you are in God's grand plan. Not just your own plan, but the big master plan that God made. And where are you giving your time? Where are you giving your effort? Where are you giving your resources? And could you be giving more of them? And this is not a stewardship plea. It's just a plea that we should be helping our fellow humanity, our fellow human beings. Some of that is in our own church, some of it's keeping our church going, some of it's feeding the hungry. There's all kinds of ways for us to help in God's grand plan. So make a 50-day effort, make a good journey. Come out of the journey with some new habits, with some new ideas, with some positive changes. And that way we'll pass this Lenten period in a successful and enlightening way. As I've said before many times, many people go through Lent like a Superman. They give up things and then they curse to get those things back, and then next year they do it again, and over a period of time they gain nothing. But if you add a little bit of something, and then you maintain that, and you add a little something next year to maintain that, and add a little something to maintain it, then over a period of time you see marked spiritual growth. And if you have that marked growth over 30, 40, 50 years of our adult life, then you are in good stead to enter into God's heavenly kingdom, and you can look forward to that. It's something you look forward to instead of dreading. So that, and Lent should be something that we look forward to, and we should embrace that. We shouldn't look at this as a season of deprivation, but a season of addition. Just the same way that we shouldn't look at the end of life as the end, but rather the beginning of something new and something greater. May God bless you and keep you, and may we enjoy Kali Sarakosti, a blessed journey through Great Lent with a Kali Anastasi 50 days from now. God bless you.